We do masterclasses every month, and it will be like this one. I'll basically show you how things are really done. And I hate it when I watch tutorials and I never learned anything new because they basically always try to sell me some plugin.
How are you doing, guys?
You have this amazing feature in Ableton 11 that you can actually click here on the scale button and then you can just choose your scale. We were in F sharp and minor. This was our scale, so it highlights the note, see, in the color that we used. Okay, next one. Is it necessary to use linear phase EQ on kick and sub? Absolutely not necessary. Always use your ears, because your ears determine how it sounds the best, you know. It doesn't matter. They both sound different, so you can always try, you know. You can swap them around and see, you know, what's the one that you like. I actually had this on mind. I completely forgot in the intro that if you are interested to buy plugins, you know, I suggest you never buy plugins from what you see in the videos on YouTube, because many times it was my problem in the past. You know, if you look at my plugins, I have all of these thousands of euros of plugins, and now I know it's completely unnecessary. Why I have many of these plugins, I used them once because I saw something nice in the YouTube video. It was like saying, your bass will sound better than ever before using this plugin. And in the end, it was just a different kind of EQ. So be careful what you buy, so you don't buy everything. You know, these people basically get paid to make a video that will make it look like it's superb. So go easy. In Ableton, you have everything you need for start. But if I can suggest some plugins to buy, that would be for sure the Serum plugin, which is over here. Let me find Serum, so I show you what it is. It's from this company called Xfer Records. Serum. I'm just gonna put it, you know, oops, not there. It's basically like a better version of Ableton's Wavetable, like on steroids. Why I recommend Serum is because it's very versatile. It doesn't cost much. It has 3 oscillators, actually 4, 1 sub, 1 noise, and 2 other oscillators. You can make any sounds you want. I actually made a bank for it. You can check it on the side as well. And you can make some really amazing sounds with it, you know. Let's play something. You know. So pretty smooth sounds for trance, for techno, for dubstep. It actually started as a dubstep plugin. This one has everything. Then the next one would be Spire. That's from a company called Reveal Sound. That's actually one of the most amazing plugins for trance music, this one. But it's not good for bass lines or for mid bass. It's really good for plugs, leads, and atmospheric sounds, and you know, other various amazing sounds, but not for bass lines. It's not the best one. Serum is great for bass lines. And then there's this old school plugin called Silent, which is super old. You still use it. It's very cheap, and it does the job. It's very old school, you know. It's not the best one now, but it still does the job. I use it all the time for my sub basses because it's just very stable. It has a nice sound to it. So those would be the plugins for making sounds that I recommend. And then for the reverb, I really recommend the Valhalla reverbs, which are the Valhalla Room, Valhalla Shimmer, and Valhalla Vintage Verb. They all cost 50 euros each, and they're absolutely stunning what they can do. Let me show you if I just put it here on those leads, where we use the reverb that we have there currently. Let me just find it. Here we go. And I'm gonna change it for this one. Just, you know, basic preset. Nothing else changed. I'm gonna turn this one off. Just listen. Comparing to, you can hear it's like fuller. This makes it sound really lush. Almost makes me dance. So those would be for the reverbs. For the delay, the Ableton one is absolutely amazing. They also have one called Echo, which is also really good. And then for saturation, which is very needed, you know, for sounds, I would say that's a very expensive plugin called FabFilter Saturn. I use it in every track for everything. And as for the EQ, I recommend the FabFilter Pro Q3. This is like the ultimate EQ ever. And then there is this one little super cheap plugin that I recommend you to buy. Again, it costs like 50 euros. It's called LFO Tool. And this is used instead of sidechain. Basically, LFO Tool, if I put it right here and I turn this off, it already comes with a predetermined sidechain, you know, curve. I just click it like this and it's just gonna work on its own. And you can actually preview what's happening over here. So you can see how it makes your sound more punchy or it just doesn't work at all. You know, adjusting the depth of it. Very handy tool. Yeah, so those are the plugins I recommend to use. Not really anything else, you know. If you don't want to do like strings and stuff, then you don't need it. Really, it's unnecessary. And then of course the ozone, like if you are into like, you know, quick mastering or, you know, getting sounds out and stuff like that. Watch my masterclass on how to make melodic techno. There I showed you how to make the kick, bass, you know, melodies, and I like this style because I recently had a burnout, and this style helped me to get back to, you know, uplifting trance because I could experiment a little bit more. So it's good to experiment with different genres. It really opens up your mind, you know, towards new things. Now, as you see, when I was progressing here, I already had everything like prepared on the melody. I did it this morning for you guys. Now, there is this little thing. When you start your track, I recommend you, as I showed you, to first make that structure. So you have a sort of like a sketch of what you're about to do, you know, as you progress with the track. Because if you, you know, start working, you know, from, let's say you make like a loop of it everything, and then you get stuck because you don't know what to do. So it's better to start with the structure. Imagine your track, draw it in Ableton. Just show yourself, okay, this is where my drop is, this is my rise, the build up. So you can, and just prepare everything, the boring stuff like kicks, percussions, you know, effects, and all that stuff. And when that is done, then you start coloring. You can have your melody ready already in the beginning, you know, you don't need to start without the melody. You can, it's up to you. I usually have a melody before I start, but I always do my structure first. When you have the structure, then it's much easier to work with. Then when it comes to mixing, I do that little mixing, as you see, with the EQ and sidechain in the beginning. But when my track is finished, that's when I do that deep dive into the mix, you know, where I really go crazy about each sound so they blend nicely together and they have space in the mix. You don't need to know how to mix your track. All you need to know is how to produce your track. You can always, you know, find a mixing engineer who can mix it for you. It really is that easy. As you see, I created the plug first, and then I added the leads. Sometimes I have like 8 leads because I'm crazy. But what you can do, the basic thing is, look, if I have them like this, you know, all of them, and they just play one by one. See, so I know that they are now really blend together, so I'm gonna find the nicest frequencies of each sound and move it around when they play together. For example, here I can feel it needs more body. And I say this is horrible, so always look where they, you know, use the EQ to basically blend them together. Figure out those frequencies that you enjoy the most, you know, and that just listen to your ears. And then the third one comes in. I didn't even move that EQ yet. Over here. So here I can do this. And I actually like this. This is crazy, but yeah. And this way you blend them together. You always have to play them all at once. And then just, you know, always carve that sound. It's like, okay, this is sounding pretty nice. I like it. And it's good to have like a reference. So like open up a track and say, I like these leads. I want to make something similar sound-wise, you know. It's pretty much impossible to do the same thing. But you can do something that is like similar to it. In trance, it's very easy because it's all just saw leads, you know. So it's all about how you EQ these things together. And there is no need to have 10 layers of leads. If you have a plug and 2 leads, which is just perfect because you always have the pad, you know, to make it sound lush. And if I take this pad and put it octave higher, see, suddenly it like is much fuller. And when it plays together with percussions, of course. And you see I'm using Wavetable from Ableton. You don't need those super expensive plugins to make it, you know, sound like this. When it comes to the samples, I suggest you to use something which is called Splice. It's this little thing over here. Splice is a company where you pay like, I think, $8 a month and you get access to thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of sounds that you can use. And when you look for something, let's say you need a kick. So I'm gonna type here a kick, click, and now it searches the samples for a kick, and I say, okay, I want it to be a trance kick. So I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna look for trance, techno, trance, click, 5,000 kicks. Nice, save. I found my kicks, and I can just start picking, you know? These are absolutely horrible though, so maybe I go a little bit further. You know, and you can just pick. Oh, this one is nice. Yeah, and this way, and you can just then download it buying one by credit, and you can just straight away put it into your project. So use Splice or Loop Cloud, you know, whatever you prefer, is much easier. We do masterclasses every month, and in all of the masterclasses, it will be like this one. I'll basically show you how things are really done. You know, it's not like, because, you know, one thing I hate, and I hated when I watched tutorials, and I never learned anything new because they didn't tell me how it's really done. They basically always try to sell me some plugin. So yeah, you will be able to watch it, and you can also, you know, purchase the other masterclasses. I don't play piano. Every time you see me play piano on social media, it was hours and hours of training just for that one song. Okay, so you don't need to play piano. I love your Psytrack The Truth. How to make ear candy for Psytrance. Again, I'm gonna try to sell you something. Go and check the Psytrance bassline masterclass that we did. It's there, explained how to make a bassline like Vinny Vici. As I said, approach a track. Find a time of the day or a week where you feel most at ease and at peace and, you know, fresh, and try just to sit down and riff the melodies. That usually helps, so you have a nice melody. And once you have a nice melody, that usually can speak to you, you know, and tell you like, what kind of a track do I want to be? Do I want to be a house track? Do I want to be a trance track? Do I want to be uplifting, progressive? And then just move on from there. To be very honest, I have no idea, because we are all musicians and our OCD is basically about every little sample. We try to make the best we can. But I can tell you one thing, the tracks that I spend the least amount of time on are the most successful. And the tracks where I was just, you know, spending weeks and weeks trying to perfect it, they never got anywhere. Try to always, you know, work on your track and use the mood that you are in. Try to use that feeling that you have at that right moment and the drive, and do as much as you can. Don't worry about anything. And then you'll spend a week just, you know, making the mix. But don't go back and change stuff, because you're only going to, you know, f up, and you don't want to do that. Basically, this is the best cheat sheet. As I said, you have it separated into 4 things, and learn one thing, and one most important thing. Everything here is only for your kick and your sub bass, nothing else. Once you have that done, everything will be perfect, okay? Don't worry about the rest. Just try to keep you low and pure. Do you have any advice on chord progression? This is something I struggle with in creating a melody. To be honest, I never used parallel compression. I just use compression as is. But I use something I call parallel saturation. So basically, when I saturate the sound, sometimes I play around with a dry wet to see, you know, how it sounds in between. And you can do the same with the parallel compression. Always use your ears. You know, if your percussions sound great, just use that. So if we have a bass and kick and bass over here, let's solo them together, like this. these two. Usually I have my mid bass out of this group. Play. So I want to compress them together. I usually just take the glue compressor again, you know, put it right there. And again, my attack will be 30, really short, because I'm working with very transient sounds, the kick and the sub. And I want to put the threshold up a little bit. And then a little bit of makeup. So it's a little bit more punchy and has a little bit more drive. And this is basically what turns it into parallel compression, you know? You just decrease the dry wet. To be honest, I never used it in my life, and I don't think it's necessary. Have a look at our masterclass on how to make trance melodies. Trust me, it's going to help you so much. No, you can use any compressor that allows a sidechain compression, and in Logic, also in FL Studio, you have this beautiful button called sidechain that you can use, and then you send signal to anything. To be honest, I never really, you know, try to cut down resonating frequencies unless it was necessary. Now imagine a situation where you have a sound, and that sound would be, for example, a vocal. I'm just gonna add audio track and let's find some vocal. With the vocals, if you look at the EQ, these little spikes you see, these are called harmonics, and sometimes some of them might be a little bit too much, and you will hear it that in the track it's a little bit of like a ringing, and it just doesn't sound good. Let me just show you this one. Yeah, you heard that? It's like like that, you know, that ringing, and you don't want that in the sound. So only when you hear it, you find it this way, and then you just basically do the opposite thing. So if this was super narrow, like here, I can always just do the opposite and put it down. But you have to think about the fact that you're losing that harmonic, okay? So you don't want to go this crazy. So you always go a little bit, but only when it's needed. If you will fear that it's resonating, the resonation basically sounds like a ringing. Imagine when you have a cup, you know, or a glass, and you know, when you play that sound on the glass by rotating your finger on top of the thing, it just goes, ee! That's the resonating frequency of that glass. So you might hear that ringing in the voice or in the other sounds. This is how you cut it down. Well, for example, when I started to learn a little bit more about FL Studio, I used YouTube, and I found this one guy who were doing only tutorials in FL Studio, and he did a great tutorials on how to use it. So I would say just go with YouTube. It has really great tips, you know, on how to use Ableton. Everything is there, and it's for free. You know, you don't have to pay for it. Ableton is very intuitive. As you start working with it, you just get into it, you know. Also, you can get private lessons. For example, we do private lessons, but I have so many students right now that we are not adding any more right now. But maybe in future we will, you know. So you can always, you know, try signing up. But yeah, use YouTube. I think that's the best tool how to learn Ableton. For example, even me, sometimes when there's like a new version of Ableton, I go on YouTube and I look, you know, like new in Ableton 11.1. And there will be a video from some reviewer who already went through it and shows me all the new things. So I don't have to go and figure it out on my own or read any alt articles. There is this plugin called Isotope RX, which is using an AI to, you know, basically separate things into stems. I'm gonna just add in a file here. I'm gonna show you what it does. So this is it, Isotope RX. I'm gonna click on the music rebalance over here, and I'm gonna set these all to 0. And now I'm gonna go separate, and it's gonna initialize the whole thing, and it's gonna separate it into vocal, percussion, bass, and other instruments. So if you want to do like a bootleg of some really good track, this is what you can use. Also, there are online tools that some of them are paid, some of them are, you know, you can just use them. Just Google like you know, extract vocals from tracks AI or something like that, and you will find those tools there. This one is great because you can, for example, you know, take the kicks, percussions, bass line, whatever you want from track, and it's working really, really well. For the remix masterclass, we actually took a track from Cosmic Gate, and I can't remember now which one, but one with the vocal of Diana Miro, and we used that for the remix, you know, and it sounded pretty well. So you can have a look at that, how it's done. But this is the plugin I use now if I want to, you know, take away the vocals for mashups and stuff like that. Now to make the basic chords. So basic chords, how I came up with these chords. So what you need is the bass note. Once you have that, you're gonna copy, paste, and shift up, or you just take it, grab, and put it 1 octave higher. Set your scale, minor. And now, to make the basic chords, you always want to skip one note and put the other. So you basically just do this. And now you have the basic chords. These are super basic, okay? These are actually, you know, the pop chords. But I want to make them more interesting. So what I'm going to do some inversions. Inversions means basically you take some of the notes and you put them octave up or down. You know, so we're going to take this one. It's called the third inversion. Take these two and take this one. And because I like how these are always connected, I'm going to take this one and put it up, which is called a suspended chord. And now let's just play together how it sounds. Maybe I'm gonna add some low ends to it. Beautiful. And so this is basically how you do the basic chords, you know. Super easy, super simple, super fast. Nah, just use the ones in Ableton and it's all good. Trust me. As you've seen, today we only used plugins from Ableton and it worked out really well. I hope this was useful and hope very educational. Don't forget that you can check out the site if you need any more tutorials. And also we are doing these masterclasses every month. So if you are subscribed, we're gonna notify you, you know, that the new masterclass is up, that you can have a look at it. Also, I'm starting the new sample and preset store. It's coming to the site. So if you'll be interested in the future. And yeah, I think that's it. And hopefully we'll do this again maybe in 6 months, you know, or something like that. So thank you very much for watching. And you have an amazing evening, amazing weekend. And see you soon, guys. Have a great day. Ciao.